Sindio? You know what was happening in the sugar industry? The sugar industry had become captive and hostage to a few characters who determined who gets what, which license is issued, who goes where. And they were so daring and brazen. It took me to tell them, mambo ni matatu. Yes. Ama hamukusikia hiyo story? Yes. Kwani mngetaka nifanye nini? Watu wengine walisema ati nimethreaten watu. Hapana. Si ndio? This coffee sector was also a hostage of a few people. One person was a farmer. He has a license as a miller. He has a license as a broker. And he is the one buying coffee at the Nairobi Coffee Exchange. One person. Undermining everybody and causing confusion and making sure that they make the most money, farmers make the least. Munanielewa? So, we started by registering farmers, because if you want to have clarity on what interventions to carry out, you must work on the basis of data. You must have correct information. You must know. And that is why we started by registering every farmer. Today, I can tell you, in our Kiami's portal, we know we have the registration of every coffee farmer and their acreage, every tea farmer and their acreage, every sugarcane farmer and their acreage, every maize farmer and their acreage, wheat farmer, and on and on and on. We are now finalizing on our livestock farmers. As a result, because we are now working on the basis of data, we reduced the price of fertilizer to 2,500. We registered farmers. We got rid of the cartels. And we created new markets for our products. Today, working with China, we have removed tariffs for our exports of tea, coffee, macadamia, avocados to China. We've done the same with Japan. We are now working on India to create more markets. What are the results? As I talk to you today, the average of price of milk has moved from 35 shillings to between 45 and 50. Those of you who are coffee farmers, you're here. The average price of coffee has moved from 60 shillings in 2022. The average now is 110, 120, up to 140. Sugarcane, where government was putting money every year. The millers, they take farmers' cane, they mill, they sell. They don't pay the farmer for 6 months. They don't pay workers for 2 years. Government has to step in. I can now confidently tell you that we have turned around the sugar sector. From a production of 500,000 tons in 2022, last year, we reached 815,000 metric tons. In the next 2 years, we will reach 1 million tons. And in 3 to 4 years, Kenya will be a net exporter of sugar. We have already licensed 4 new sugar mills because people are beginning to discover that there is money in sugarcane farming. What was undermining that sugarcane farming is lack of transformation, cartels, and crooks, and people who were doing the wrong things in that sector. For the first time, we paid bonus to sugarcane farmers in Mumias. And I promise you, end of this year, we will do the same in Zoya, we will do the same in Chemelil, we will do the same in Moroni, we will do the same in Soni. We are not only turning around the sugarcane sector, farmers will make more money, and we will save as a country on foreign exchange. We don't have to import sugar. The net effect of our agricultural transformation is that maize farmers are making more money. You know, we raised the production of maize. Imagine we were importing a lot of maize into Kenya from all over the place. We were producing an average of 40 million bags. Last year, we produced 65 million bags. This year, by God's grace, our analysis, because we got better rains and we got better supply of fertilizer, our estimate is that we will get 75 million bags this year. What has happened? We have reduced by 70% imports of maize. We have reduced by 70% imports of sugar. And we have doubled our exports of dairy products. What am I saying? That sector is undergoing transformation. And I want to promise you that the 500 billion, imagine, 500 billion Kenya shillings we use every year to import food in the country. We've now cut it down from 500 billion to 300 billion. Our intention is that in the next 3 to 4 years, we will bring our import bill of food from that 500 billion, we are now at 300, we will bring it to zero. Because we can produce all our food in Kenya. We'll save on foreign exchange and we will put money in our farmers' pockets. Mnanielewa? Number 3, we agreed that we want to reform our education sector. You know, in 2022, citizens were not sure about CBC. In fact, as I campaigned in many parts of the country, parents, citizens were saying, let us abolish CBC. Ni kweli ama si kweli? Si ilikuwa namna hiyo? So my first assignment when I arrived here is to set up a presidential working party. Because if there is one thing we must never get wrong, is education. Because if we get it wrong in education, we fail as a country. That presidential working party worked with our manifesto. They looked at the areas, they listened to teachers, and I want to congratulate the teachers of Kenya. You became the largest contributors of ideas that today informs what we are doing. What has happened because of that engagement? Number 1, deliberately, by the way, and for your information, very few people can dare reform the education sector because it's a very sensitive area. A friend of mine told me this education sector is very sensitive. Parents are very particular about their kids. If you touch this sector, it is going to be something else. But I said, unless we get it right in the education sector, everything else will go wrong. So we went through this together. We can now tell you, and you are the masters in that field, CBC now has more clarity than it ever had. You allowed us as government to hire huge numbers of teachers, even though we started with interns, because it was necessary for us first to have teachers in classroom, get them out of the streets, balance the money we have. And today, I can confidently say in this teachers meeting that we are slowly closing the gap on teacher-student ratio. We now have 76,000 teachers teaching. In January, we will have 100,000. And by 2027, we will have 120,000 teachers hired. Sasa mimi nataka niwaulize, kwa sababu nyinyi mnajua hesabu. Yeah? Other administrations have been hiring 5,000 teachers every year. right? We have hired by January 100,000 teachers in 3 years. Ni kweli ama si kweli? Sasa nyinyi kwa hesabu yenu 100, acha niwaulize 100,000 teachers, kama tungeendelea na ile mpango ya zamani ya 5,000 teachers every year, how long will it take us to hire 100,000 years? 20 years. So teachers that were supposed to be hired in 20 years, we have hired in 3 years. Ni kweli ama si kweli? Tunaelewana? On top of it, we have put money to have more classrooms. We have now built in the last 3 years 23,000 classrooms. And I want to thank members of parliament who are here, the chair of the committee and all the committee members. They have worked with me to make sure that we provide resources through CDF and through government resources to hire, to build more classrooms, because classrooms and teachers form the foundation of learning. Then we can input the rest of the things in between. Tumekubaliana ndugu zangu walimu? On top of that, it was necessary for us to look at funding. And I am happy that we are going to be discussing later. I have seen in some of the asks you are going to ask me how we can enhance funding. But we had to start from somewhere. We had serious problems with our universities. Most of our universities, actually 23 of our universities, had been declared insolvent. Egerton University, Nairobi University, Kenyatta University. Most of our universities, Moi University was almost dead. Most of our universities were paying salaries, half salary. They were not remitting pay as you earn, NSSF and all those. We had a big crisis. And let me tell you, good people, the reason why I had to take a very informed stand on matters education is that if you want to destroy a nation, go to education and do the wrong things. Because for past so long, our universities were struggling. And it was not right, because what was happening is that we were sending so many kids to university. We're not providing the resources. They had to begin to cut corners. And ultimately, we were going to have half-baked graduates. And that is the reason why we had to have the difficult conversation on funding in our education, especially our higher education. I can now confidently stand before you today that our higher education, ask any vice chancellor, the new student-centered model has increased resources available for teaching at the university. In 2022, the maximum was 45 billion. If you go to this year's budget, it is 82 billion shillings, from 45 billion to 82 billion shillings this year. Universities can now pay salaries in full. They can pay their tax obligations. They can pay their suppliers. And slowly, we are bringing to the rails our university education. Our TVETs, the numbers in 2022, we had 340 students in TVET. Now we have 720, and I have agreed with the ministry that we want to have 2 million by 2027 in our TVETs. And by the way, it is intentional. And I will tell you why. I'm going to tell you why. Number 5, we have been thinking of an open university of Kenya for many years. Many countries have done it. I tried to do it when I was Minister for Education. I was moved or was it fired before I could finish it? So, but I had promised that when I get an opportunity, this is one thing I wanted to do. Today, I can confidently tell you, we have the Open University of Kenya at Konza City. We now have 10,000 students in the Open University of Kenya. Students at the Open University of Kenya. In fact, it will be the largest university by end of this year. That is what Catholic education. We must provide all pathways for us to open opportunities for citizens to learn. And I'm going to tell you shortly why education is important. If we have to move Kenya to the next level, education is at the center. Number 4. We have to sort out health. You know for a very long time that many people sold their houses, their property, their livestock, their plots, around this etc. for matters health. Some decided to stay at home and die because they don't know how they will pay if they go to hospital. Many Kenyans died of illnesses that could be treated, but because there was no mechanism. And that is why we undertook to say, let us have a paradigm shift in the delivery of health in Kenya. And this is not a conversation that started last year. Universal health coverage was in the NAC manifesto. Professor Anyang' Nyong'o was Minister for Health. He tried, he did not succeed. Universal health coverage was in the Grand Coalition. Charity Ngilu tried, we did not succeed. Universal health coverage was in the Jubilee Manifesto. It was among the big 4. Our minister then, Cecily Kariuki, we tried, we did not succeed. Strangely, in the last election, universal health coverage was in the Kenya Kwanza Manifesto, and it was also in the Azimio Manifesto. Unanielewa? So it is something we agree, all of us, that it is something to be done. But nani atafanya ndio kizungumkuti. So that's why this time round, I said, whatever it takes. Niitwe Zakayo, niitwe nani, ni sawa, lakini this thing, we must do it. My friends, you know, I can never have a better meeting than this. This is a meeting of intellectuals. Sindio? And that is why I must take time to explain to you, because you understand what I'm saying. So what did we do? We changed the structure of delivery of health, because why we failed in NAC, why we failed in Grand Coalition, why we did not succeed in Jubilee, is because we didn't have a sound legal foundation. Because universal health is not a roll of the mill, it's not a simple thing. It is probably the biggest project a government can undertake, because it involves every citizen. Health is not a sectional issue. Health is a national issue. So we changed the law. From one law of NHIF, we now have 5 pieces of legislation. We have passed 4. There is one now in the works in Parliament. We changed the funding structure. We've changed the delivery structure. And now I can confidently tell you, for the last 1 year, which we have implemented universal health coverage under SHA. It's been difficult, but you are beginning to see the results. SHA is beginning, there was initially, it's not working. And then it came to, it is working, but. So we are moving. Yeah? We are going to remove the buts. And I want to promise you, we are determined. SHA, universal health coverage, must work. Because the Constitution of Kenya, Section 43, says health is a constitutional right of every citizen. It is not a privilege for those who have money or those who can afford. Unaelewana marafiki zangu? So, we're implementing universal health coverage. NHIF had 7 million contributors. SHA now we are at 27 million Kenyans registered. It was a preserve for a few. We are now agreed that number one, we are changing even the financing structure. The old NHIF, the low cadre of people, you know, wale watu wa chini huko, the lowest was 500 shillings. 500 shillings is for the people whose income is between 3,000 and 5,000 a month. Assuming even it is 5,000. If you tell somebody who is earning 5,000 a month to pay 500, what percentage is that? 10%, right? 500 is 10% of 5,000, isn't it? So the poor people, the people at the bottom of the pyramid, we are telling them, pay 10% of your income. And then mimi napata 1.2 million. Hawa wadosi wameketi hapa wanapata 1,100,000, 700,000, 800,000. Sisi ambao ni wadosi hapa, sitaki kusema yenu. Sindio? Sisi tulikuwa tunalipa 1,700. If you do a percentage of 1.2 million, 1,700, it is 0.01%. Sasa, good people, you are intellectuals. The poor are paying 10%. The rich are paying 0.00. Is there any fairness? Is there any logic? Tunaelewana? So what did we decide? We said, let's have equity. Let us be fair. Let us have a standard figure. Let everybody pay 2.75%. Mama mboga na wale wengine wateremuke from 10% wakuje 2.75%. Na sisi tutoke huko 0.0 sijui ngapi tukuje 2.75%. Tunaelewana? Now from 1,700 I used to pay, now I pay 40,000 every month. Mama mboga yake imeteremuka from 500, kuna wenye tutawalipia na kuna wenye watakuja 300. Now the base is 300. We're trying to create an element of fairness. Na hiyo ndio makelele mimi napigiwa kwa hii town. It's because, you know, we're just trying to be fair, good people. Why is anybody against fairness? So what has happened? We are raising more money. We used to raise 2.6 billion. Now we are raising 7 billion shillings every month to deal with health. And now we have put money in the budget. We've said citizens, and I want to tell you, and I'm going to discuss with you your own medical scheme later, because these people are going to ask me. Tunaelewana? Yes, and I'm going to tell you what we are going to do on your medical bill. Because today, access for teachers is 7%. Access for civil servants is 14%. Ni mnanielewa? So there is something wrong with the medical cover. And I know these good people, these representatives of yours, they have already captured it. And I am going to tell you how we are going to solve it. Tunaelewana marafiki zangu? So I can now confidently tell you that SHA is working. We are going to make it work better. You can now hear testimonies of citizens who are telling you SHA paid for me 20,000, 50,000, 100,000, 500,000.